Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Today I will be your judge, jury, and your analyst. And for today I will be analyzing Season 8 Ultra Premier Cup. Since most of you really don't give a crap about regular Open Ultra League, well, most of you actually don't, because regular Open Ultra League has the big Ghost Dragon, the giant Space Jetsons duck. If you know who the Jetsons are, and you've watched Toonami, or yeah, is it? No, not Toonami. I'm like Boomerang. There you go. Yeah, Boomerang. That's a really old cartoon program. If you watch anime, basically you like watching action animes versus slice of life. Ultra Premier is a slice of life. You know, it's fun, it's comedic, and then you have the not so comedic ones, which are all action, blows everything up. That's Open Ultra League. I don't think that analogy works. That sounds really bad. But anyways, welcome to the video, guys. King of Charmanders has a really bad time trying to put 2 and 2 together. Well, actually, I didn't even prep for this. So, you know what? Anyways, other than the analysis, I didn't prep. I actually got prepped. Anyways, I'm taking too long on this intro. So, as I always say, please consider contributing to pvpoke.com by using this link below. Just go over here, contribute, and then poof, you can easily contribute to pvpoke.com. Please consider doing so. So, for today, we will be analyzing the Season 8 Ultra Premier Cup, as I said before. Ultra Premier Cup means no mythicals, no legendaries. But, with the new Poison-type buff, there's actually a whole list of really interesting Pokemon that took the rankings in Ultra Premier. As you see here, if we go over here and we go to Ultra Premier, the rankings have vastly changed since its last inception. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here are the overall rankings as you see here. Remember how I always talk about pancakes? Me personally, I love IHOP, I love Denny's, but whichever one you like, whether it be from your local diner, or that one place that's only in that one section of the world, or that one state of the world, because you know I'm from America, but you know, we don't, like, you know what, we got like really popular pastry. Cracker Barrel, that's a good pancake place. As you see here, pancake takes overall. With the new buff as far as the poison type buff, Poison did make a rise. If you've noticed and you've looked at Ultra Premier this season, there's a massive difference. As you see here, Shadow, Nidoqueen, and Dragago are literally really freaking good. And because they're really good, guess what takes the cake as well? Or rather, what the X factor is, it's Swampert. As you see here, Ultra Premier got a lot more interesting with these new buffs and the new moveset over changes. But, if as everything doesn't change, Galarian Stunfisk, the Emperor of the Destroyer of Worlds, of your ELO and my ELO too, and I spent the whole spiel trying to basically get you a little more excited that if you have a good Galarian pancake, I hate you because I want one too. But anyways, G-Fizz does overtake the list as number 1 overall. Abomasnow also got a lot more valuable as you see here because Abomasnow does essentially wall Swampert. Most Swamperts in Ultra Premier or even in Open Ultra nowadays are rocking Earthquake. As you see, Earthquake is the preferred moveset. Because with Earthquake, you could take out or one-shot, or basically one-shot the... As you see, the poison typing's right here, and you're able to basically do heavy damage against G-Fisk. Abomasnow, if you do rock that moveset, however, Abomasnow does, in fact, wall you. So Abomasnow took a huge jump. Well, not a huge jump, but it got a lot more valuable, as you see here. What I don't like is if, other than Swampert, if you look at the rest of the top 10, they're all XLs. So, just keep in mind, if you don't have an XL Skarmory and XL Jellicent got a lot more valuable. XL Galvantula I can probably see being really valuable as well. However, with the existence of Swampert as well as Galarian Stunfisk, XL Galvantula may still be up higher, but we'll see. But as you see, the poison type buff did change and flip the meta quite a bit. Dragago is super expensive. I would not recommend you get it because it still loses to things like Swampert and Kingler just because it's not super tanky, unfortunately. As you see, Ice types, Togekiss, etc. will still beat the unholy hell out of Dragago. So Dragago isn't really worth investing. If you really want to use it, by all means, go right ahead. It does great against the elemental meta, except for Swampert, just because Poison is weak to ground types. So, as you see here. So, Dragaggle is prone to getting nuked by Swampert. Shadow Nidoqueen, as you see, this is the most interesting addition. Shadow Nidoqueen XL is literally number 5. It beats Venusaur, Charizard, Dragonite pretty convincingly. And even Empoleon, you can nuke Empoleon. The greatest thing about Nidoqueen is that it's the Charmer's worst nightmare. Poison is super effective against Fairy, and guess what Nidoqueen has? Poison Fang. So, it's very, very powerful, very, very strong. The X factor to that is, as you see to the right, there are a lot of Pokemon where, not really a lot, but Swampert's super popular, and Gyarados is also really good. So, you're going to have a hard time against both of those. Basically, the Water archetype, as well as the Ground users, well, those that have ground type charge moves in Excavalier. As you see right here. Ice types are also super effective against Shadow Nidoqueen, which is why Lapras has a very strong matchup against Nidoqueen. So there's a lot of things that can kill Nidoqueen, but if you are able to line up against basically a neutral or even a positive matchup, there's a lot of things you can do with Shadow Nidoqueen. And because of that, Shadow Skarm, or XL Skarmory, which is basically your worst nightmare for, well, it is Nidoqueen's worst nightmare because it essentially walls you. As you see here, Skarmory took a leg up, and so did Jellicent. So things that resist poison went up in value a lot. As you see here, this does feature Bubble Beam Jellicent. You can use Ice Beam, but I think Bubble Beam is okay just because, like, you don't, unless you're facing Dragonite or Driplim. Well, you don't want to face the Driplim anyways just because of Icy Wind or, like, Shadow. It's going to be a Shadow Ball Fest anyways, so it's very difficult. The problem is, it's really hard to find XL candy for... Well, hold on. I'm actually going to look at my bag right now. Take a look and see how much Nidoqueen... I definitely don't have enough XL candy to build a Shadow Nidoqueen for Ultra League. Just putting that out there. I'm just like taking a look to see. I have 49. So if you do have enough for Shadow Nidoqueen, it's really good. But at least Swampert or other options are out there. As you see here, if you even go to the top 20, out of the top 20... you kill XL Pokemon, this is what happens. So as you see, XL Mandibuzz, Scrafty, etc. are still really good. So if we kill XL Pokemon, this is what you get. Not too promising. The good thing is Goodra's still pretty dang good. Things like Swampert. Swampert's probably the Antichrist and the budget pick of the year for this cup because of everything going on. Not to say other things like Excavalier are not Gallade, or old Pokemon from before, especially Excavalier, are Gallade because Gallade does well against Nidoqueen and the Poison archetype. Gallade's a good option for this meta, if not already. But as you see here, XLs really do take up a portion of the top 15 or even top 10. Surfetch is a great mon. As you see, it's changed to Leaf Blade and Brave Bird. There's no reason for you to run Night Slash. You're either going to nuke something or you're going to Leaf Blade it to death because it can take out Swampert and Empoleon as well as Kingdra. Surfetch is very valuable in this meta, so Surfetch might combine well with the newer archetype, etc. when it comes to team building. More on that when it comes to my top teams. But as you see here, overall, Goodra is still a good option. All the other Venusaur, Gallade, I already mentioned, is ranked pretty high outside it, and other teams as well. If you practice a lot with a team and you're comfortable with it, I would say just use the same team. You probably gonna get really comfortable. It would probably do a little bit of getting used to, but if you played Ultra Premier from before, unless everyone's running Shadow Nidoqueen to death, you're probably going to see a lot more Swamperts, or it's going to be a relatively safe, it's going to be relatively the same meta, unless you're that crazy person with, like, XLs, which I'm pretty sure there are plenty at this point, just because of how long it's been since the last Ultra Premier Cup. So, just keep in mind, there are options out there for Ultra Premier if you hate Open Ultra League and outside of the XL spectrum. Just keep in mind, XLs are still really freaking good, though. Alright, so first off, as we always start off with, after overall, is the leads. And as you see, the leads did change quite a bit. Yeah, they changed quite a bit. Shadow Nidoqueen is the most powerful lead overall, just because its ability to essentially nuke... It's able to nuke G-Fisk, but the thing about Shadow Nidoqueen is that Poison Fang damage, especially with Ultra Premier, really does rev up and make a difference. If you get a positive match with Nidoqueen, you could debuff the thing in the back, and then you could do some sweet farm down strats with Shadow Nidoqueen, which makes Shadow Nidoqueen the most powerful lead in Ultra Premier. Yeah. Yes, it gets wiped by Swampert, Gyarados, Typhlosion, Lapras, Gallade, like I mentioned before. There's a lot of things that can kill it, but if you do get a Nidoqueen, that you can play a lot with that Poison Fang debuff a lot. It's very, very powerful. As you see, it's the most powerful lead. Great as a switch as well. actually extremely powerful switch, so you can expect to see a lot of Swamperts lurking in the back, or possibly a lot of trainers keeping a water type in the back just so that they can possibly... I don't think there's going to be a lot of there's not going to be a lot, but as you see here, Nidoqueen's stats are ridiculous for Ultra Premier as an XL. So because of that, it's going to be extremely powerful for this cup. So keep in mind, it's going to be really, really good. And because of that, Abomasnow also took the reins. As you see here, Abomasnow is very, very powerful, being able to take out a lot of the meta as well. Well, Shadow Obama, to be exact. Regular Abomasnow is still very powerful as an XL. I personally use one. I don't dabble a lot in Ultra Premier, but as you see, XL still dominate a majority of the meta. Another interesting is, Pidgeot is also very powerful in XL and Ultra Premier. As you see here, it gives Swampert an incredibly hard time, and that's what makes it really, really good. Combine that with Feather Dance, and you have a very tanky Burb that's able to do extremely well, especially creating a whole bunch of really sweet debuff plays in this meta. I actually haven't... Let's see, I have an XL Pidgeot. Did it go over 50? Please don't go over 2,500. I think it did, though. Oh! You! Hello, good sir. I do have a level 50 Pidgeot, and it's at 2407. So, dang. I should probably give it a shot. I should probably give it a shot in this meta. Yes, I'm crazy enough, and King of Charmander actually has... I used it in Master League, okay? I was killing Giratina. Actually, I have an idea for a future video. But as you see here, level 50 is a hundo. You need a hundo at level 50, and it will go to below 2,500. Because of that, you could Feather Dance a whole bunch of things to death. So I don't know if it's going to be available. I personally want to give it a shot just to see how debuffing actually goes. Because outside of its weaknesses, as in Ice, as well as the Thunder archetype, there's not actually a lot of things that can probably take out Pidgeot. As you see, Pidgeot is the elemental meta's worst nightmare, and with the ability to have Feather Dance, there's probably a lot of sweet things you could do with an XL Pidgeot. So I'm looking forward to using this thing, so it might be interesting. As you see, things like Dragaigo, etc. are very, very strong. Things like Drifblim, etc. There still are good options that aren't XL. So if you take out XLs out of the league, Swampert's a great league in this meta. Magnezone, also a lot of things. Goodra is also a great lead, as you see here, as well as Gengar. So, the mons from before are super expensive. So, I don't foresee a lot of them running around, especially a Shadow Nidoqueen XL running around rampant. If someone does have one, though, it's pretty nuts, so just watch out for it. But as you see, the team, there's still a lot of Pokemon like Magnezone, Swampert, Shadow Champ, Goodra still ranked pretty high in the league category, so that's not to say like all things are lost, etc. But a good thing is that if Shadow Nidoqueen starts taking prominence, you might see a lot less Togekiss in the lead, or in general, just because Poison will delete the Charmers pretty hard. So just keep that in mind. That's a good balance. But that's if I don't foresee it being too much of a problem, because like I said, there's a lot of Pokemon there's a lot of trainers that don't have XL Nidoqueen, for sure. As you see here, again, there are still non-XL Pokemon that do really well in Ultra Premier, so don't think all hope is lost. I would give the team you've been running a shot, and I will be doing budget teams for Season 8 to really see how it can measure up against this current meta. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it too much. But again, as you see here, a lot of changes for the XL thanks to the new buff. I really do think XL Pidgeot's going to be a monster. I really do think also the poison buff type is also going to be very good. Because statistically it's good, but like just my brain going off, I can see all these different combinations and why XLs are starting to take over Ultra Premier. And why these buff poison types, if you have them, are actually going to do really freaking well in Ultra Premier Cup for Season 8. And now we go to Safe Switches. As you see here, there's a little bit... So, Buffalo was actually the most powerful Safe Switch at one point. But it's still really, really good. So, if you live in New York City, I really want a Water Buffalo. You know, I really think Bison Burgers are really good. I'm a huge foodie. I love bubble tea. I love pizza. I love burgers. And man, would I like to try... I'm just kidding. I don't know. A Buffalo burger sounds legit, though. You know, Bison burgers are pretty dang good. I've had those before. Okay, enough of my foodie crazies. As you see here, these are the Safe Switches. Galarian Stunfisk is still the most powerful Safe Switch. Especially with this new meta coming out. As you see here, for the key losses, G-Fist does incredibly well still in Ultra Premiere. So if you have one, it's going to do wonders for you still if you've used it before. Shadow Nidoqueen is also a very powerful safe switch, as you see here. With its ability to essentially... It's going to be trouble if you face a Swampert, of course, but you can debuff the unholy hell out of Swampert. So you can debuff Swampert, set up plays, etc. So Nidoqueen does really well against a lot of actually, like, meta safe switches. For example, against Kingdra has a hard time against Nidoqueen. So, and the good thing, well, the debuff is going to suck, of course, so Kingdra is still probably going to be really good in this cup just because of its coin flip debuff. That's not going away. Another interesting note is Roserade. With the new archetype, or the Poison Art, as, like, Poison Jab made Roserade basically, I think Poison Sting does more, yeah, Poison Jab does more damage, but as you see here, Roserade actually took the reins and became a lot more powerful safe switch thanks to this newer meta. So because things kind of flip around, if Swampert starts becoming a more popular lead, you won't likely see a lot of Charizard running around. So Roserade is an incredibly powerful safe switch, as you see here. Your worst nightmare is Charizard. So if you do see Charizard in Alola pray. Also, Gallade, which other Confusion users can give you an incredibly hard time. However, as you see against its strengths, Roserade does incredibly well against a lot of different combinations, especially with that Poison Jab damage. So, Roserade as an incredible safe switch. As you see here, it's pretty glassy, as you see Glass Cannon, and you also have to be really, really technical with it. If you get locked into a negative matchup, you're going to have to either decide to Leaf Storm through shields, or worst case scenario, you're locked into a really bad matchup like Charizard, because Charizard will resist both Weather Ball as well as Leaf Storm. But Roserade as a switch is pretty sweet, and I really think it'd do well. Outside of that, Goodra is also an incredibly powerful safe switch, and like I mentioned before, Gallade is still very strong. So yes, XLs are very powerful as switches. Gaggle's also surprisingly a really powerful safe switch as well, but it can still lose to Swampert just because Hydro Cannon is OP, and it can still lose to Charmer. So I don't recommend you use it, but if you want to use it, go right ahead. But again, XL don't exactly dominate the safe switch spectrum that hard. Gengar also went up top even higher just because of Gengar is a poison type, so it does resist the poison buffs, etc. Gengar, as you see here, is very, very strong. It's still really powerful, still does really strong against the elemental typings, and if you do have energy for Shadow Punch, you can possibly take out Swampert, etc. But as you see here, I already mentioned Gallade. Goodra is also a very powerful safe switch, as you see here, and Snorlax can still be very good, as you see right here. So, outside of the fighting archetype possibly being a more pain in the butt, it's going to be a very interesting... The good thing is that you're not going to see... Well, you could probably still see Talonflames out there, but Talonflame isn't, like, that bad. Well, it's still a pain in the butt to encounter, especially if, like, things run around, but with more Swamperts being led, or Swamperts being more teams, assuming that kind of things, like, pan out, you might not see a lot of Talonflame running around. Hopefully you don't, because Talonflame's... Yeah, Talonflame's annoying. I'm gonna use it. I use it in Open Ultra, so I can't really say anything about Flaming Chicken KFC Bird, but you know what? It's what it is. But again, you have plenty of options for safe switches outside of XLs if you don't have them, which is really good. And last but not least, we have the closers. As you see here, Electivire Shadow. For some odd reason in Great League, it's always the greatest freaking closer of all time. No, seriously, it'll do a ton of damage. Even though Electivire is still beastly, it just does so much damage. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably nuke something out shields. The problem is, it's glassy, etc. And Shadow Electivire, even though I have one, is really hard to use. This thing is so glassy that the pressure of baiting, etc. is really annoying. I mean, you could probably still see footage in my YouTube video for me using Dragonite and Electivire, but Electivire is really good. Outside of Electivire, if you don't like glassiness, you have things that do have resistance. Shadow Magnezone is still very strong as a safe switch. Or not as a safe switch, as a closer, as you see here. So, if you want bulk, etc. I mean, you're gonna die to Swampert, you're gonna die to Ampharos anyways. But, you know what? Wild Charge still hits like a truck regardless if you have a Magnezone, as you see here. Interesting enough, Roserade is also a powerful closer as well as Escavalier. Well, actually, so here's what happens. If I show you the XL Pokemon, as you see, XL Skarmory, XL Hitmontop, and G-Fisk is still really strong. So overall, G-Fisk is incredibly powerful. You have one, it should do very well for you in this meta. You have things like Heracross, Shadow Skarmory. I don't know who has an XL Hitmontop, but XL Hitmontop actually is a little interesting, but because the Poison archetype kind of kills it, and of course, it takes super effective damage against Pidgeot, so it's kind of interesting. So, yeah. Galarian Stunfisk is just OP. That's all I have to say about it. Skarmory is the big metal burb, does really well in the closing scenario. There's not a lot of things that will take out Skarmory, and like I said, you might have a discouragement of fire types just because of Swampert being more popular, or Swampert, well, likely Swampert's just really good in everywhere, so as you see, Skarmory is still really good. And if we go down to, with Poison being buffed, by the way, you might see less Charmers, but you can also take advantage because a lot of Poison types are actually Grass and Poison, like Roserade and Venusaur. You could possibly use Charizard or Talonflame to kind of try to key in on counters. Just be careful of Water Pokemon. Venusaur is still an incredibly powerful closer. Things like Heracross, Excavalier, Ferrothorn XL. The good thing is in the closer scenario, XLs don't dominate too hard, but even if you don't have it, I would say like closers for like Kingdra, XL Skarmory is a good option. Venusaur still is a fantastic closer for sure. There's a lot of Venusaur closer teams, and I believe that Venusaur is still a beast for Ultra Premier Cup. Excavalier even went up quite a bit, as you see here, because of the way Poison kind of like running around, like Poison kind of like putting out. Excavalier does resist Confusion. Excavalier also does resist Poison Jab because it has Steel. So because of that, Excavalier is a very interesting mon to run. As you see here, it gives Venusaur a hard time because it essentially walls Venusaur. Also gives a whole bunch of different combinations a hard time. Counter also allows it to generate energy quickly. Excavalier might not be a bad option as a closer if you're considering it, but it's incredibly powerful as a closer. If it wasn't before, it's like statistically it is now because of like how everything ordered out. As I mentioned before, if you don't have XLs, there's still XL options, as you see. Non-XL options. So Venusaur, the starters still work really well in everything I mentioned before. I don't know how many of you have Shadow Electivire, but however, if the K-Made Charmanders may interest you in something, and if you want to have a little fun, Shadow Electivire is so much fun to use, but also very, very hard. It will also send you emergency room because you will have a heart attack using it. It is very difficult to use, and it takes a ton of damage, so don't recommend you use it. Ironically, even though I'm out here praising it like it's the last best type bread. Surfetch is also a very powerful closer in this meta. Leaf Blade does wipe out Swampert to oblivion. Burb will also kill most things as long as they have chip damage. So, unless it's like an Empoleon or something like that, that does resist Brave Bird or Ampharos. So, Surfetch is looking really good as a closer as well. Like I said before, if you are used to using these teams from before, use the same team that worked for you in Ultra Premier. Likely 9 times out of 10, it probably won't drop off too much in effectiveness. However, if you do see everyone and their mothers and grandmothers having XL Nidoqueens, I will be wrong and we'll have a little bit of a problem. The thing that makes it kind of iffy is that a lot of hardcore players did play... Nidoran's been out forever, so I can foresee it, that and Pidgeot. So, as far as like XL Pidgeots outside of like the Elite TM or Nidoqueen for those players like me that have been playing since day one, and not like, oh, I opened the app and catch. No, I opened the app and freaking grind at least decently. There's potential for them to be running around. So again, but the good thing is, like I said, there are non-XL options for Ultra Premier, even in for the closers. That rings true. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it did help you prepare a little bit, but because of the way things order out, Ultra Premier might not be that bad. Like I said before, because of how open Go Battle League is, a lot of teams before, I still see them being incredibly powerful. My top team videos will be coming out for both Ultra Premier and Open Ultra League pretty soon, as soon as I always do a little bit of research and do a little bit like here and there. Like at this point, it's kind of like muscle memory. I kind of spend like 2 minutes thinking. I'm like, okay, this, that, and then I put things together pretty quickly. However, as you see here, the movesets getting buffed, etc., did affect the overall meta. So it's kind of interesting how things kind of bounced around, but it's also good to see that they didn't affect your budget picks too much. Swampert's going to be very, very good. Swampert, Venusaur, and Charizard. The starter's going to be very powerful. Gyarados can still be very powerful. And a lot of things that you used from before or seen before can still be very, very strong in Ultra Premier despite the Poison and the Pidgeot buffs. So you're probably going to see a whole lot of same teams running around for Ultra Premier. And you're going to see those Gen 1 crazy grinders, or those that have that, like me, that is crazy enough to power up an XL Pidgeot, or have one already powered up because I was using it to destroy Giratina Origins in Open Master League, and more on that later. And yeah, I'll have those top teams out pretty soon. This week, just before the... I usually do it a week before, like, the next league rolls over, but I just want to make sure you guys have, like, the earliest data available to you, or if you happen to use one of my teams like some people have used before, and it did really well for them, help them climb, or help them to reach Legend. Again, look out for those top teams. I'll be putting some work in for that, and if I may interest you, and please liking and subscribing, thanks to the results of this video. If you look to the bottom right, you see that little box that says subscribe? So by the sound of my voice, and I do this for every video because I'm enticing to you to put your mouse on that subscribe box and click on subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It's totally free, but it also helps my numbers and just my sub goals for my end of the year goals. I work really hard to put these things together with all the other things I do. So takes a lot of hard work. I really do appreciate the love and support. If you already subscribed, welcome back, and I do appreciate you. And thank you for being such a great supporter for so long. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. Again, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Good luck in the Go Battle League sets. I'll have those top teams out for you guys soon, before Ultra League for sure, and Ultra Premier. And I will see you guys on the next video.